Do you know the right questions to ask potential lenders when you're going through a refinance or a home purchase? Check out this week's episode of Tom's Take to find out what you should be asking, why it's important, and how it's going to help you select the right lender. I'm Tom Toole. Welcome to Tom's Take. This week, we are talking about how to vet lenders properly when deciding who you're going to refinance your home with or who you're going to use when buying a new home. And there's a couple key questions you want to ask any lender. I'm going to run through them with you and tell them why they're important. So the first is, what is the mortgage rate? Pretty basic one. The reason I bring this up is that you're going to get different answers on this. There are direct lenders, which usually will have the best rates. There are mortgage brokers that will raise the rate because that's how they get paid on the loan. So you want to be careful of what kind of rate you're getting. And then there's obviously big banks that are really competitive on the rates, and they're direct lenders as well. But there's a little bit of a difference between the local lender who's dealing with everything versus the big bank who has 10 different people working on your loan. And that'll come into play a little bit here. But most importantly, number one, find out what your rate is going to be. Secondly, ask them what the costs involved are. This will vary from state to state because of different laws and different ways that people are charged things like transfer tax, title insurance, who pays closing costs. So you want to make sure you're clear there on what you're going to be responsible for. And again, some banks are going to have higher costs than others. So it's important to understand what your costs are going to be and then weigh the rate against that. Sometimes the rate's a little higher, but the costs are less. Sometimes the rate's lower, but the costs are higher. In that case, usually the lower rate is what's going to save you a lot of money long term, so you may want to factor that into your decision. Question number 3 involves timing. Specifically, will you be able to close the loan on time? This is a major challenge right now, especially when the market's doing well like it is in 2018, because lenders are getting more competitive. And what I find is that a lot of lenders will overpromise and underdeliver. Big banks are notorious for this, where they will say they can close on time, and then a couple days before settlement, there's some issue that comes up because they have 10 people working on the loan, rather than a local lender who handles everything and knows exactly where the process is. So make sure they're going to be able to close on time. Let them know what your expectations are, when you need to close, and then have that conversation with them. Secondly, and kind of a follow-up to that, ask how long or how much time they will need to close your loan. So that way, when you're negotiating a sale or negotiating a purchase, you can understand, I'm going to need at least 60 days, or I only need 30 days. And you can make those decisions up front so it doesn't cause you problems later as a buyer in the transaction. And lastly, ask them what kind of documents you are going to need to provide so that they can close your loan on time. In many cases, lenders will yes people to death. They only pull credit. They don't go deep enough. And when that happens, the borrower has a tendency to not have all their documents together because they weren't prepared. Being prepared is so important in business, especially in real estate transactions, because when you're not prepared and you don't have all your docs and your lending package ready to go, it can cause delays. You can't close on time. Maybe the rate's going to be a little higher because they didn't vet your documents properly. So as long as you're asking these 4 questions, especially in today's age of internet lenders where you never meet the person, which is fine as long as you know what you're getting into, or some of these big banks that you deal with that will tell you one thing, do another, it's really critical to know what you're getting into. So ask these 4 questions no matter what lender you're talking to, whether it's a refinance or if it's a purchase, and you're going to have a much easier time selecting the right lender that's going to help you close on time, give you a fair deal, and give you the best rate and the best costs for your situation. Any questions on this, or you need a referral for a great lender, ping me on social. All the information's right after the video here, and we'll talk to you next week on Tom's Take. Thanks for watching.